Um, so the purpose of this class is to introduce you to different types of multimedia or things that could be used for media within instruction, and how they could be used then in an educational setting, whether it is in the classroom or whether it's in a business setting or even in a informal learning kind of situation. So with that, you'll be creating something every week. You will be writing about what you created, tying it back to the design principles that you've read about, and kind of testing it out, seeing how you like the software or the app that we're using, as well as how you can use that for an educational purpose. We are doing this class a little bit in a backwards design. You always want to think about your objectives and then find a technology that helps support the student learning in whatever sense you're doing it. This way we are looking at the technology and saying, how could this be used? It's a little bit of a backwards philosophy than what you really want to be having when you're designing learning experiences. But because we have the short class time, and because your emphasis really here is to learn these different technologies, then we will be doing it that way. This week we are looking at copyright and Creative Commons and how that can be used in your setting, and using Padlet as a way to display different artifacts. Before we go into that, if any of you would like to introduce yourself, I won't make you talk, but I would like you to talk. You're welcome to jump in at any time while I'm talking. Interrupting me is fine. I tend to get going and tunnel vision, and I am just speeding down the tracks. And if you need me to stop, show you something, slow down, back up, answer a question, you're more than welcome to jump in while I'm talking. So if any of you would like to introduce yourself right now, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and say hello. Annette.
Hi, so I'm Annette Mills. I teach with Michigan Virtual. We're actually an online school that was started by Michigan Legislature in '98.
Very cool.
So it's my first year with them, and it has been amazing just how vastly different it is from teaching in a face-to-face environment, and then much am actually able to connect and work with the students versus what you think would happen in an online school.
Yep. Awesome. Anyone else want to introduce themselves?
My name is Valerie Brown Campbell, and I am currently the training manager at ZipLogic. So I'm taking this class from a corporate business perspective or angle. I did teach elementary, middle school for 6 years, K-5 through 8th grade, computer science. But the majority of my years of teaching has in fact been the adult learner. So it's interesting, Annette, that you work for Michigan Virtual. It was when I was over at University of Detroit Mercy, we had a class where we had to do a cohort and connect to a virtual online school, and I used Michigan Virtual as some research information regarding that. So we're going to talk later. And then Dr. Jen, you have used Canvas. That's the LMS that we use at work to actually develop our, that I've used to develop our course. So I'm familiar with Canvas, which is kind of cool. I'm going to have some questions about Padlet because I never used that. So I will stop talking now and let you get on with it.
Is it Gina or Jenna?
Hi, it's Gina.
Okay.
Hi, I am currently in my second year of teaching. I teach at an all-boys Catholic high school in Warren, Michigan. It's called De La Salle. And it's going great. I have a major in English and a minor in school health, and I love technology, so I am really looking forward to this.
Awesome. And Steve.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Steve Nellis. I teach French at a high school, Henry Ford High School in Sterling Heights, Michigan. It's my 5th year teaching. Um, I don't know. I kind of, looking forward to this class, to looking for new things to integrate in my classroom. I kind of use a few things, but I'm always looking for new and exciting stuff to get the kids engaged and have some fun in class. So
Awesome. Okay, so for those of you that are on your phones, I'm not sure how it shows up. I've actually not zoomed on my phone, just on my iPad. There is a chat feature that's running. It's off on the left-hand side, or on the right-hand side for me. Annette had said something in, and then I answered her back. You're welcome to use that as you work through things, or as we're talking, post questions in there, talk to each other, and that's available on there. The first tool that I want to show you guys is this Zoom. Zoom is free. You get a free account. You can have 40 minutes of talk with any group of people, any number of people, for 40 minutes without getting kicked off. You can also have a one-to-one conversation we've had, I think, a 6-hour meeting that we had to Zoom somebody in because they were at a conference. So especially for you, Steve, and maybe Valerie even, with the training, and then Annette with the Michigan Virtual, this is a tool that allows you to connect to people free. It is a lot more stable, in my opinion, than Skype or Google Hangouts. Those tend to crash more on me than this does. They have some benefits too, like you can share documents in Skype. You can do some other things with Google Hangouts that you can't do in Zoom, but for stability and the ability to, a lot of people are switching from Adobe Connect to Zoom. Penn State has switched. That's where I'm from originally, is Penn State, is where my doctorate was at. They've switched to Zoom, and I know like Brigham Young, another group that I'm in, has worked with badging, and let's see, Brigham Young, Northwestern, Purdue, and Penn State, and Graceland, I think. All of those have switched to Zoom. So it really is a place that's getting much bigger. You can also do breakout rooms, especially if you have a paid account. It allows you to do breakout rooms and then come back together, which is a really nice feature if you want to pay for it. It's not super expensive. But the free one, I do everything free. If you have to pay for an account in my class, let me know, and I will change it. I'll find you a new technology. So that's one thing to know. So with Zoom, if you haven't used it before, you're able to share screen. You're able to take command of someone else's computer through it. You're also able to annotate on the screen and things like that. So I'm going to share screen really quickly and just show you a couple things. You can also do like AirPlay with your iPhone and iPad and that kind of thing. So you can bring up a whiteboard. You can type on it. You can also spotlight text, which I really like. Show students whenever you're working with them online. And you can select text or select things on here. I can delete that. And if there was other things on here, I can draw. I'm not very good at writing on here with my trackpad. There we go. So you can see how that can work. You can save that, and so if you have students that are working together on things, you can have them work on breakout rooms, do some whiteboard work, and then they can actually save that and be able to turn it into you. So that's one of the benefits. You can also record it just as recording it right now with other people on there to save it for later, or more importantly, in my opinion, whenever I was developing some virtual lessons for the high school, whenever I was working there, and then for some training in the summer that I was doing, you can use Zoom to screen record either the page or your entire desktop, and you can record it and it'll drop it out in a nice little file for you that's easy to upload to YouTube. That's one benefit over trying to record Google Hangouts that I've had, or trying to record some Skype conversations. This was just easy to do with in-house, and it automatically converts it and drops it out for you, which is a bonus whenever you're really busy. So with this, I'm going to show you the class. The assignment that we are working on this week, this is copyright. So you're going to read this stuff, you're going to create a Padlet, and then you're going to write a blog post that incorporates your Padlet within it. This week you'll be creating your blog post on copyright and the Padlet that you created and the lesson that goes along with that. then next week you will be commenting on them. So you're always a week behind on commenting. You can do them right away, but I wanted to be able to give you time for everybody to get done and for you able to pick different people instead of the ones that are just, on the spot done early to be able to work with. And the reason that I make you have a blog and then I have you commenting on it is whenever you end this class in 2 years, Blackboard wipes clean and you lose all access to the course that you've had and all the material you've posted in it. By having a blog, you have the outside material that you've worked on for yourself, and you also have the connections to everybody else as you comment on their pages. And I'll post a blog list once I have everybody's blogs. Still have a 3 or 4 that people need to turn in yet. So that gives you all these resources to utilize outside of class. So maybe 2 years down the road, you're thinking, I have to do a training today, and I know that somebody used something. They used augmented reality, and they did it this way. It was really nice. I'm going to go look at their stuff and see what they did, and you have that connection then, and it helps you build you as a cohort as well, so that you have the people to use as a resource, not just the resources that you have. So all you are doing this week is reading, make a Padlet, and then write a blog post that talks about the lesson that you would use this Padlet for, the training you would use this Padlet for, and then put the Padlet into it, either through a link or through embedding. And then next week you'll go and look at a couple of the other people in the class's posts and comment on them. So this is a Padlet. This is a Creative Commons Padlet. It has a pile of information for you. I realize it's a little overwhelming. You don't have to read everything. It allows you to have a lot of resources. You can actually make a copy of this. I think it's set to, that you can keep for yourself. It gives you all kinds of links to information. It gives you a little bit of idea about how to cite them. This is actually not the citation, but it's telling you the license. And it just gives you some resources there. So, and then I have a way to answer it. This is where you turn in your assignments. You will click on this little link up at the top, and then it'll bring up a page that you'll load in your link for your blog. Every week, that's all you have to turn in to me is the link to your blog. If you can put it into the place on there where you can hot link it, that's really nice for me. Otherwise, I'll copy and paste it. It's fine. So this is what you're doing. You're going to think about a unit you could do. Your unit could be on, or your lesson, I'm sorry, or training. It could be on copyright, or it could be on genetics, or tying your shoe, or French verbs, any of these things. Yeah, your topic, your Padlet can be on anything you want. So I'll make sure I put that on in a little note because other people might be confused about that. So you're going to select. That's why I said select the topic that can be used in your classroom. It can be copyright. I've had people do brilliant lessons on copyright using this Padlet, or it could be on Frankenstein. You don't have to do the lesson. This is just your lesson prep, your idea for it, your training that you're prepping for a month down the road. You're going to take your resources and put them on here. In that sense, I know that this is a little bit of a fake lesson. When you're creating your lesson, you're probably not going to be searching for a share alike and a no derivs or no derivs non-commercial. You're looking for material that actually applies, and you're going to, of course, use copyright so you can, and citation, so it's not going to be a problem. But you wouldn't be looking for specific types of copyright. So in that sense, I know that this is a little bit fake. But for the purposes of the lesson, find these resources. Email me if you can't find them. I am more than willing to do a real quick search, give you some ideas, find you some places to go that may be beneficial for you to find your resources if you're really having trouble finding different types. And I know that they don't necessarily align with Google's, but you just kind of have to use your thought process on the Google search or wherever you happen to be searching and kind of align them with this and see if you can find ones that are working for this. And there's the idea of what you're going to do. You're going to talk about what design principles you think that this used. You don't have to answer all of the questions, but if you give me a good sentence or a good couple sentences that kind of answer, for example, the application questions, you want to make sure that you answer them in your post, but you don't have to say, what design principle did I use? Blah. What's this? What principles did I use? Blah. Which principles did I intentionally use? Blah. You don't have to do that. You can just kind of build it into a nice little couple sentences or a couple paragraphs. Some people's blog posts are extremely long, 8 or 10 paragraphs, big paragraphs. Other people have fairly short paragraphs. It's your writing style. It's what you would use for your stuff. As long as you give me the information, I am fine with it. Okay, so to show you how this works. First of all, with Google, To find the Google search on here, you're going to go to, sorry, I didn't look to see where it was at. It's down here under settings, and then you go to advanced search. And under advanced search, let's say I want to do Punnett squares. And I want to do any language. I could just look French if I was going to do Punnett squares for Steve's class or something like that. And then when it comes down here to say not filtered by license, this is where you can get your sorting with it. Now, is it perfect? No. But does it at least sort it down for you so that if you want to say free to use, share, modify even commercially, those use the attribution ones, you could look in here and maybe I want a picture. So I'm going to look at images. And then I would go down through here and I would look, okay, so this is at Wiki Commons, so it is probably going to be good to use. And then you can see these are under the Creative Commons Share Alike. So you do have to kind of look for everything, but at least allows you to sort them. Any questions on that? Another place you can find some information is Creative Commons. Creative Commons website has a lot about the licenses. That's one of the links off your Padlet. And it talks about how they work, what they mean, and it gives you like the legal code, which you don't need to have, okay? So they explain them here. So for example, share alike means you can do it, you can use your information as long as you, even if you commercially do it and sell it, as long as you credit the initial one. No derivatives means you can't sell it. No, non-commercial no derivatives, you can't sell it, you can't change it. Okay, so those are the different licenses, and that's a link off the Padlet that I have in class. Creative Commons search is another way that you can find some information or some images and things like that that have different license types that you can do things with. I've not tried the beta. So if you want something you can use for commercial purposes and modify or adapt, which would be the attribution or something like that, then you could put these clicked. If you unclick them, it's going to give you a more strict Creative Commons license. So it gives you a lot of things available here. It's a way to help sort through your information. It doesn't promise that every single one of them is going to be right.
Okay, just to be clear, I've never done a Padlet, so Padlet.
I'll show you how to use Padlet.
Okay, so we're pulling this information in so that we can then put the information on our Padlet. Is that right?
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay. All right.
So what happens a lot of times when you do an online training or an online class, you have a series of links for people to look at. A Padlet gives them a place that you can display the information and they can click on it that way. But think about it as just a set of links that you're going to embed in something you can save and use or share with somebody. The other thing you can do with a Padlet is you can use it as a part of a lesson, and you can tell students, okay, here's the link for this Padlet. Groups 2 and 3, you're going to put your information on here. Groups 5 and 6, you're going to put your information on this Padlet, and you can give them those to add their information to as a group. And that's a great way to have students kind of crowdsource some resources and things like that.
Got it. Thank you.
When you turn your information in, I look and see what you say it is, and then I actually go and look it up. So this is the lesson that takes me the longest out of any of them to grade. So for example, maybe we want to do French verbs. And I don't know how this is related to French verbs. I probably, hold on. All right, so maybe these are, something that I wanted to use. So I would look on here and I see that Cafe Connection, maybe I want to use that. So I bring up the license that's here and it says CC BY, and it's going to tell me that it's attribution. So basically, as long as you tell people that it came from there, you can use it. So whenever you do your Padlet, you'll put your piece on there. Like for me, for this one, you're just going to write it in on the top here with your, like this one says CC attribution. You just write it in like that. If you were using it in class, I would really make a link of it, and I would just put down the website, and then I would write CCA for attribution beside it, instead of having to put it on each one of these for students. But I would tell the students that personally, I put it in a lot of times I'll put it in a Google Doc, and then I'll have the links and the licenses there so that the students know where it came from. It's a little extra step, but considering that you can really get into lawsuits and things like that, and people are more willing to push them now in our kind of lawsuit heavy thing society, it helps a little bit to do that. So you're going to verify by, let's say I wanted to use Padlet tutorial for teachers right here.
Hi there, I'm Jen.
Okay, so I would come in here and it says standard YouTube license. That means it's copyrighted. Some of them actually give you a CC license in YouTube, but not usually. You can use them. It's fine to use them, but you have to attribute it to the people, and you have to copyright it. YouTube is a special kind of devil of its own in a way, because YouTube happens to be made to share the information. So actuality, what I was told by someone whose husband is a lawyer, and this is, you know, hearsay, but I'm believing them. If you're using a YouTube video in your class and you don't know it's copyrighted content and it's out there, and the person, you know, somebody finds out about it and wants to sue you, it actually goes back to the person that posted the YouTube video and not you. If you were having your students use that and do something else with it, there may be ramifications if you're, you know, marketing it as your own or whatever. But as long as it's linked back to the original YouTube video, you should be okay with that, even with the scariness of copyright law and all that kind of thing. So we're not going to listen to that. So sorry, my bar at the top keeps dropping down and I can't click anything. So with this Creative Commons, or with any of the searches that you do, let's say that I went to Google. Yeah, let's see, what do I have here? I want to use this website, whatever it happens to be. I want to use it as a link for my resources that I'm putting in my class. So I would come down here to the bottom, and I don't have any idea what this is, but I would come down here to the bottom and I would see, does it have anything on here about copyright or about sharing? Copyright Mark and Angel Hack Life. So this is what you would use then for your copyright. You can still use it, it's just copyrighted, so you can't say it's yours and that kind of thing. If I wanted to use an image, maybe I'm in Flickr and I want to use an image of France. I have a way to search in Flickr for pictures. I can use any license, or I can drill it down to commercial use allowed. So maybe I want to be able to make money with it. Or I can use modifications. That would be no derivative. That would be derivatives are allowed. Copyright. I can make money out of it, whatever. And I would look at the picture, and then I'm going to double check the license. They should have listed on here whether they allow you to actually use it or not. Where did they put that? Some rights reserved. So this tells me that it's an attribution generic. I can use it as long as I tell somebody that they took the picture. So that's how you're going to have to track down all of your resources. I know it's a pain, but that's how it has to go for this lesson specifically. This page is Fair Use at Stanford. They give you some different law pieces about it, anything like that, if you ever want to track back to it. And then this is what was I looking for? Creative Commons. We did Flickr. I showed you Google. I don't remember what the other thing I was trying to show you. All right, so for the Padlet, you're going to make an account, and Padlet is always so positive. You're going to say make a Padlet. And you can pick the way that it's going to look. Maybe I want it to be Canvas, freeform anywhere. And they always give you like this wonderful title and subtitle. Those can be changed in the modify box. So maybe I want to say, and then instead of made for test for adventure, I think Planet Squares actually has 2 T's. And then I can pick my lesson. I don't get as many as if I pay for it, but don't pay for things for me, especially. Maybe I want it to be like a Blackboard. There we go. And themes come if you pay for it. You can make a symbol up here where my name is at. Attribution, you can make the students log in and put their names on it, or you can have your names displayed. You have other things that you're allowed to do with it, and they give you the address. And you can make it secret if you're working in a K-12 school and you have some issues with student work being displayed, and the student names are going to be on it. I would definitely do it as password protected, private, or secret. For your class, I do it as public because I don't care who sees it. With my copyright one, I want it to be able to be used by anybody. I don't want to have to invite people to it. You can restrict what they can do. They can only read it. They can put things on it. They can actually kick people off or take things off of it. You can have them, let them copy it, and let me say next, and then you can start posting. If you want to modify this and change it around when you're done, you can go into here and you can modify as well. And I'll show you how to share it in a second. So let's say that I want to look up Punnett Squares. And so I would look in here and I'm like, okay, so let's look up Punnett Squares, settings, event search. Maybe I want this to be free to use or share, even commercially. And I want to put this on there for my students with this book. Okay. I can look down here and I can see that this is a Creative Commons attribution, so I have to tell them who it is by. So to do this, I'm going to copy my link, and to do that, I click on this or I click and drag, and then I'm hitting Command and C, but you can also go to Edit and Copy. And then I'll go to my Padlet, double click, and to do that, all I did was put my cursor and double click. For the class, I would say attribution. Because this is linked, I will let you get away without putting the entire name of everything that's in there on it. Or you could say Lisa Barte. And then you go to the plus. Any of these will do the same thing. So you don't, if you click on the picture, it does the same thing. Put in my device and my thing. You can also put in a file. That can be a picture that you've saved off, or you can take a picture on here. Takes a second to load. And that's the picture it picked. That is the only thing about Padlet that I don't like, is it automatically picks a picture for you. You do not get to pick the picture, and that's not always a good thing. Sometimes it has nothing to do, it's just a picture that's on the page that they pick, and that's the biggest thing about it. You can't take the picture off though and just leave the text. And there's your square. Next one. Same thing. Any questions on that? Does that make the assignment seem easier? Does that answer questions that you happen to have? Is there anyone that has any questions about the assignment, finding resources, building on the Padlet?
It was done kind of quickly, to tell you the truth, but
Okay.
you know, I'll figure it out.
I will help.
Yeah.
All right. So if I wanted to share this with you guys, Okay, I'm going to copy the link here. That does it for me. And then I'm going to come over here to the chat. I would say for you to, if you wanted to make yours public, you can. It's up to you. If you're in a school setting, then you want to make it closed and just give them a link for it. Otherwise, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to give you the link. If you are able to click on it, it'll actually take you there. I know a lot of you are on your phones tonight, so that may not be a great choice. But that Padlet right there is the one we're working on right here. It doesn't have to be genetics. We can play with it if you have the ability off of the device that you're using. Did all of you get that through the chat?
Yeah, I got it. My question, well, for our class purpose, will we be making our Padlet public, or what's your recommendation? Because this is just for this class, right?
Well, if you're doing a training in 2 weeks and you want to gather some resources for the training, it constricts you a little bit because of what I'm asking you to do with the specific types. But you can do the specific types, and then the rest of your 6 resources or 7 or 5 of your resources can be whatever you need them to be. And you can build it for your class and then, just use it then. So I want you to not have empty projects and empty busy work for this class. If you can make it work for something you can do for your work, then do it. If you can't, then it has to be busy work, and I'm sorry. But if you can make it work for work, for school, for training you're gonna do, to share resources with your friends, for Girl Scouts that you are the leader of the group. I had somebody do their whole project was on Girl Scouts one semester. I've had somebody else that does model trains. And so everything that they did revolved around model trains because they like are the head of their group and that's what they wanted to do it on. So I would make it something that is helpful to you if you can. And now I'll walk through one more time. I'll walk through another resource for how you would do this. So if I'm gonna do it about genetics, for me, yeah, I would make it public for now. You can always shut it down later when you have students working on it, if that's what you wanted to do. I'm gonna do it on genetics, so maybe I want genetics video Punnett Square. Khan Academy, I could use YouTube. Depending on what your school allows you, if you're working in a school district, you may not be able to use YouTube. Okay, so I have this video that I want to use. To do this, I'm going to go to share. And because it doesn't say that it's a educational license here, I'm going to want to bet that it's a standard YouTube license, which means that I just have to, it's copyrighted. So I can't do anything with it other than use it. So I'm going to go to share. And that brings up the address. You can actually start videos at a different time. So if you only wanted them to watch it starting at minute 250, you can start them at 250 by clicking that here and inputting the slider where you want them to start. So that allows you to trim down. Let's say for Steve, he wants to have a French video, but he only wants them to have 5 minutes of it. He could set it at minute 3 and tell them to watch 5 minutes and quit. I'll show you later on other things that you can use to crop it a little bit more. So I would copy this. Okay, and once I have my address copied, I'm going to go to my Padlet. So to enter this on the Padlet, I can just double click, or I can click on the little square or the little plus in the corner here. And this I might say, or if I was actually doing with the students, I would probably say something like, watch this video on Punnett squares. And then I would probably say something and then I would say copyright, but I can't get it to do my symbol. And I would say whatever the people are that have it. Moo Moo Math and Science. little trouble here. I think you can trim better than that even, but for tonight, I'm not going to show it. When we do video, we'll talk about that. So I'm going to go back to my Padlet, and then I'm going to say, for my copyright. Because it has a direct link to it, to be honest, you could get away without having that. I'm 99% sure, because as you click on it, it's going to link directly back. It's not like you're taking it and moving it like or using it as your academic property. It's going directly back to their video. It's not like you recorded it off of it through a screencast and then posted it as yourself. All right, so with this, I still have to edit it. Once I get my thing typed, I'm going to go down here to this little bar. And this little bar, you don't have to click on anything in particular. Any of those will actually allow you to put your information in. So I'm going to click, and I can add whatever I want to it. I can add it from the web as a URL right here. I can upload a picture, a file, anything that you happen to have on your computer that you want posted, or I can take a picture from the webcam like right now. Okay, so for this one, I have an address. So I'm going to put it in here. Once I paste that in there, I'm using Command V. I could also go up to Edit and then go to Paste. And then I'll hit the little arrow to the side. And eventually it pops it up for me. And I'll say, okay. I could take that off and just have the link posted there, and or take off the link, and just have an informational square, but I wanted to have this on there. And that's done. There is a video on how to do this on the class weekly list. I put it in there yesterday. My links were broken, not links were broken. Screener's certificate came down, so they made my all my videos blocked. So if you don't have this one showing, then let me know. But there should be a video on here on how to use Padlet. I've found that using Padlet and things like that allows students to move at their own pace and their own ability. It allows you to differentiate the learning a little bit. You can also, because Padlets pretty much look the same, you can give two groups of students two different Padlets, one with harder resources, one with easier resources, if that's the kind of situation you have in your classroom or workplace or whatever. Maybe in your training you have really tech literate people and not so. So you need a lot slower paced for the people that are not so tech literate, and you need more advanced materials for those others so they don't get bored. You can differentiate them by making two Padlets that look the same with different content, and people really don't know the difference. You say, you know, group A and B, these are the ones you're going to use, or, you know, whatever, however you want to do that. With your LMS or with your individual assignments, or just with your let students self-select or learners self-select for that. Okay, so do you have more questions? Oh, I didn't show you how to embed. Go ahead, ask questions.
Will this Padlet be built upon throughout the rest of the weeks, or is this just this 1 week?
Just this 1 week.
Okay.
You have a different focused technology every single week as we go through.
Great.
And then I try to build in like a different piece of information a lot of the weeks. This week's copyright's big. But other ones, like for example, if we're doing maybe Google Slides, then I can't remember what the projects are. My brain's drawing a blank. Let's say we're doing augmented reality, then maybe we're talking about differentiating instructions or emerging technologies or something like that. So I try and pull in another topic to talk about as well once you get started. All right, so to share this in your site, you're going to click share, and it tells you the people privacy that we already looked at, and then it also says share, import, export, or embed. If you want it to be embedded on your WordPress or whatever you happen to use, if you want it to look like this is embedded. If you just want a link that you can click on, which I am fine with that, as long as you have it there some way that I can access it, I am fine with you either linking or embedding. Embedding looks nicer. It makes you look more proficient. So if you want to try embedding and you have trouble, then you email me and you say, we need 15 minutes on Zoom, and we'll figure out a time and we'll do it. All right, because I can actually take over your computer and show you where to click if needed. Do the remote control thing, if you allow me. So you can do the link, you can embed in Blogger website. And it tells you on here, here's the full embed. You can copy. WordPress, you only need this little link here, and it puts it in there automatically for you. If you are doing something else, if you're on Blogger or you're on Weebly or Wix or something like that, then you're probably going to have to use the HTML. And there's some directions there for that. If you're on WordPress, though, which is what I suggest, I guess I suggested Blogger, it's not too difficult to do. And if you have questions, I can post a tutorial on that one too. Close. More questions? Can you tell I taught school? I've got good wait time. All right, then, if there's no other questions about this, no other questions about the class or the work that you do or anything you're having difficulty with, then you guys are welcome to say, Sonora, say goodnight. My tongue is sticking on the words. Say goodnight and hop off of this, and you are welcome to head out to your whatever your lives have you doing tonight.
I have just a couple of things before I leave. Today it was interesting at work. My team is preparing, two of my trainers are preparing PowerPoint videos for, one is doing technology and media, multimedia in the real estate industry, because that's the industry that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is doing safety, security for agents.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking I can do my Padlet on that safety and security, because it was an awesome PowerPoint presentation. Can I incorporate that as well as the copyright? Because I did send them the copyright information so that when they start developing their PowerPoints, which will ultimately be on GoToStage, they won't, have any issues. You see what I mean?
You can do your Padlet on two topics if that's what you want to do. If you want to have a little copyright information and then the other safety and security.
Right.
You can do the whole thing on safety and security. Either way, I am fine with however you choose to use it to benefit you. Okay. I am looking for the fact that you can find resources that have different copyright attributions.
Okay.
And you can put them on there.
Got it.
The content belongs to you. However you need to do it for your work, whatever. So if you can make it work for you like that, I am fine with however you want to do it. And I think that there's actually a setting on here. Maybe. Let me see if I can find the setting here for it. Modify. Nope. It's under. Eventually here, I'll click on the right one. Change format, I think. Yep. Under change format, if I wanted to come in here and do it as like a shelf, that lets you have columns, and you could say column 1, safety, column 2, security, column 3, copyright, and that would work fine. Oh,
I can't see what you're doing.
I'm sorry, I think to share it to you. I had it shared almost the whole night, so I forgot. And I just scooted my page, sorry. I was trying to move my page. Okay,
I see.
Set it up. And to do that, you come in here, and whenever you set the whole thing up, when you do a brand new one, it'll allow you to pick. What I selected was change format here. When you start to do it, it allows you to pick the format. That's the very first thing you do.
Right.
By picking, what did I pick? Hold on, let me put it on Stream, and then I can show you the one I picked. Stream just posts one topic after another. But by picking shelf, shelf allows me to have these different columns.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, and then that gives them all the resources in a nice little visual format. And then to add your resources in each column, it just has you click on it there and then write it.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah, it's nice. Once you play with it, it's nice.
Now, with that being said then, so our whole objective for this Padlet is to have a resource, each resource demonstrating one of the copyright things that,
Right. Well,
okay.
I have it listed in here.
Uh-huh.
You are going to pick, there's 5 categories here.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have 4 of those categories.
Okay.
So you could have, and you need 10 artifacts for the whole project. So you have 10 resources on there. You need 4 different types of them. So you could have 3 attribution, 1 attribution, no derivatives, 1 public domain, and the rest of them copyright.
Okay.
It can
Got it.
be any mixture of it. I just want you to
Understand the concepts.
okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. No.
That's what I needed.
Yeah, and any questions are great because honestly, I think things are clear in my head. So, anything you can think of to ask about, then there's probably somebody else thinking it.